Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. First leg is Jamie to throw first. Game on.
But who's to say that he can't do it today? Because I'm not going to say it. It's great to see Keegan and Stephen in the other semi-final, the other half of the draw.
Yeah, two players who've been knocking on the door and deserving to reach the latter stages of a tournament on the stage. Stephen's recently reached the final on the floor, but the same can be said of Jamie Hughes, can't it?
It can. The encouraging thing for someone like Stephen and someone like Keegan is that they have been battling for their match play spot in the last few weeks. Well, by doing so well this week, they've not only secured their place, more so Keegan today, but Stephen done it a couple of weeks ago, is that they're doing what they need to get into the next majors after that. And they're probably not even thinking about that. They're more thinking about the title now. And you asked me earlier, when do they start thinking about possibly winning this title? Well, it does start to creep into your thoughts in the semi-final. But those guys backstage will be thinking more about how do I get rid of Stephen? How do I get rid of Keegan? But
yeah, I think there's a difference, isn't there, in a tournament like this where the quarterfinals are played in the final session. Surely you go into that thinking, you know what,
60.
one good night and I could win a title.
Yep.
Whereas there are big TV tournaments where the quarterfinals can be 3 days before the final.
That's what makes the preparation for the quarters so important. As Keegan mentioned in his winning interview, he usually, in the past when he's had the experience of playing the quarters, he's felt flat. He's felt full of beans today. He's been very smart, drinking lots of water, and hopefully everybody has heeded that bit of advice. And Jamie Hughes is in the driving seat in the first leg of this match.
81.
He looks fresh, and he's looked fresh all weekend long.
Game shot on the first leg.
Fresh and sharp and in the lead.
Well, Hughes has won 2 of the 4 meetings between the pair this year, including one at the UK Open where he knocked Ian White out early on, a match which saw both players average over 100. Ian White got some revenge in the German Darts Championship back in March when he defied a 107 average from Hughes to pip him 6-5.
Yeah, it was a cracking game, that. One of the matches of the season, but I'm still to see, in my opinion, a better overall game than Michael Smith versus Krzysztof Ratajski from earlier this year. That one was just
60.
Sensational. I hope that the people here this evening and Snoopy get to see something just as good.
95.
It's been interesting to see certain players visually perspiring, like Sulevic, who was dripping but didn't look uncomfortable, and then someone like Jamie Hughes
140.
playing like it's just a normal thing to play in 40, 45 degree temperatures. Maybe even more than that. Oh, look at that for a 174.
Setup shots have been brilliant all weekend, Jamie Hughes. Is that card for when someone hits double 9?
It may be. Who cares what
60.
double it is as long as it goes.
Jamie required 92.
Where's he go here? He's going to look at the ball. 87 left. I know a lot of people who would have, in that
25.
spot, gone for the 60 because the 141 is possible but not likely.
Yep, see your points. Hughes will expect to return.
He will return, but he only scored 25 in his last visit.
105.
That makes this 67 a lot harder.
67.
Because now Ian White's on a double.
Well, in the previous leg, he pinned the double at the first attempt. This time, the treble allowed him
51.
2 placed outside the wire.
36.
When he misses, he doesn't miss by much, does he?
White off the hook.
Yeah, he's got away with one there, Ian White. Because Jamie Hughes could not convert 92 in 6 darts. And one of the games that the lads practice backstage with other people is called 1-2-1, where they have to eliminate 121 points in 9 darts in alternate throws.
134.
And then you go up 1 if you get it, and then one of the things that MVG does is if you get the 3-dart checkout, is you get an extra life, and you do 5 lives. And if you fail to get it, you lose a life.
177.
But to not convert 92 is a bit of a sin at this stage of the competition.
Well, Ian White, having been handed a hold, is now trying
58.
to carve out an opportunity to break, and has gone about it the best way possible with his opening salvo.
I've noticed that Ian White has pretty much disengaged
48.
the zip on that shirt. Can't go any lower.
Well, it's a good job it's not a full-length zip then, Paul, isn't it?
43.
Yeah, there's not a great deal of players use buttons anymore. It's all zips. If Ted Hankey was here, I fear to think. It's good to hear that Ted's on the mend and he's back
59.
playing darts. If you're watching Ted, all the very best to you, and we hope to see you soon. It's good to see characters and double world champions sticking around and giving it a go. But Jamie Hughes is more than giving it a go.
136.
He's got every chance of winning this game and this tournament if he can just stay in the same zone as he's in right now.
I'm going to ask you a little question in a moment. We'll let the leg play out. But referring to the World Series of Darts that's coming up,
53. Jamie
I think you know where I'm going to go, but let's see where Hughes goes here. Can he fly one over the top? Too high.
Well, it's fascinating that he didn't move back to the centre of the hockey after that adjustment. And Ian is looking at the downstairs portion for this. Might look at the bull now to square it up. And that's sensible. Leaves a 2-darter.
72.
Yoza will need tops right now. He's been
32.
deadly on that this weekend, but that is probably the worst start he's had at it in the last couple of days. Ian's looking at tops himself.
60. Jamie Hughes 40.
Well, you see how good the line was from Ian White with those couple of darts that he didn't even have to really take his aim with the third one, but it doesn't matter because Hughes has hit the front. And the question I was going to ask you, Paul, regarding Ian White was he's going to watch players who have been knocked out of the tournament before now leaving for Las Vegas. And we've spoken over the course of the weekend about extra motivation. Michael van Gerwen, of course, who's won more
96.
titles than anyone on the tour right now, has to look for different goals than just picking up titles all the time. Do you think that Ian White would love to win this one in particular just to prove a point that he wins the last one before the World
83.
Series events and says, hey, why am I not in them?
It's a great question, because when he won in Sindelfingen, it was a case of, why not me? I'm doing it right now. And then he won in Zwolle. And he said, again, why not me? It's a case of he's knocking on the door, and he's knocked on it so many times he's got blisters on his knuckles. But if he was to win this tournament tonight, Ian White, it would send a pretty bold message to the selectors. And he's been in a very focused mood, and you could say it's somewhat
140.
a ruffled mood after yesterday.
Yeah.
It would be a very interesting winner's interview if he was to win it.
You can become impossible to ignore, can't you, if you just keep getting the results?
Yes.
132. In your car, 140.
620s. Tundley up, nice and high on this one. Beautifully done.
100. Jamie Hughes 106.
Hughes' 7th max of the weekend has placed him on this 106 checkout. Chooses double 16. And Hughes hits double 16.
Jamie Hughes. Fifth leg is Jamie to throw first. Game on.
I am very surprised he went that way, because on double top this weekend, like I mentioned in the previous leg, he's been dead-eye on it. Absolutely dead-eye.
60.
So to be that lethal on double 16 and have tops in the locker, it just gives you more proof that Jamie Hughes is here to stay. He's going to do something
100.
possibly today. If he doesn't, he's going to do something this year. You can't play the way he's been playing and not make massive impacts. Now, we all in the know
46.
how good he is. We look at the stats, we look at his games, we look at his attitude, the way he performs. It's going to happen. It's just a question of where and when.
You look at the overall list
100.
of averages from the Players' Championship Tour, and that's where averages really become relevant, because it's over a sustained period of time.
It becomes more relevant the further into the season we go.
Yeah, certainly, and he's 9th on that list.
47.
Ian White, who's already won a couple of titles in 2019, is 4th. But Jamie Hughes has hit some huge numbers over the course of the season. Also look at the European Tour qualifiers.
59.
Well, he has done a fabulous job of qualifying this year. It's not an easy thing to do. Steve Beaton was the king of that. But he's a seed now. But Yoza has qualified for more than he's lost in.
96.
He's had a lot of exposure on the Euro Tour this year.
Yeah, he started off the season by having those big ton-plus averages and losing somehow, didn't he? It just kept happening to him. But he managed to
60.
not let it affect him and carried on performing at that level, when you have seen some players kind of crumble and think, well, what's going on here? What do I need to do? And it can really affect the mentality.
Well, that was a bit of a strange deflection on that first start that was in the 60, but the switch is
116.
exemplary.
Well, Ian White's only been allowed one dart at double in this match so far. Obviously he hit it, but he would hope to get a chance
130.
to win this
Jamie
leg.
Hughes, 136.
He might not.
He's going to stay there. Look how much that affected him.
96.
That's the
Jamie
focus that I'm
52.
talking about. He misses the 60. Some players in the draw would have gone ooh or something like that, made it an expression. Just gets on with it, and Ian White needs tops, and he gets
Inside
there.
the fifth leg, Ian White.
That was so important
Yeah,
to
it's a
stay in
game
touch.
on.
part of his game that he knew he would need to tidy up this evening if he is to go on and take another title, because White had missed 28 darts at double over the course of the weekend. Put him at around 30%.
100.
Well, of everybody who is playing this evening in the quarters, Ian White surely is the most comfortable at this time on a Sunday. Been there, done that, got the T-shirt, got the
60.
trophies. Jamie Hughes has experience of this stage as well. Daryl Gurney, of course, does. He's out.
100.
Everybody who is left has got experience of this season.
Yeah.
So I think that has been a telling factor.
100.
It's impressive to see, even at his tender age, the elevation of Ian White, because when he won that stage title last year, something he'd been trying to do for so long after picking up so many on the floor, the next step was to win another, wasn't it?
Yeah,
And he did that.
sometimes the second one's harder to win than the first.
Then the next step was to perhaps beat MVG in a final. He did that.
100.
Now he's got to do it in
61.
the big majors.
Yeah.
He knows he has to. And more importantly, he wants to. He's performing in this game too, and he's left the two darter that he wanted. In that spot there, when you've got 81, you pretty much want to hit the 25 if you're Ian White. You don't want to hit the bull, because you'd rather have 56 than 31.
125.
He has got
Indian
56.
56.
I think that was a bit of a lazy dart. That was a bit quick. It's double 16 now. He puts it right. And I know the rhythm of Ian White very well. I've watched so many games of his, and that first dart came out far too quickly. It's almost like he expected to hit that 16 in his sleep. Just goes to show
96.
everybody at home, when you're playing darts, you have to give every single dart your full attention.
Well, the doubling has been superb from White, though, in this match. And he has corrected the one little thing that might have hindered him had he carried on the troubles from earlier in the tournament.
I'm asked on a almost weekly basis by people, where do world-class dart players want to be percentage-wise on doubles? Well, it used to be, I'd be happy with 40% when I first turned professional. Nowadays, far from that. They're looking at a minimum of 50. Now, I don't think there's anybody on the tour right now throughout the course of the season who is at 50%. I know the great guys are around about the 45%, which is excellent. But what they want is everything above that halfway point.
Yeah, it's those checkouts like 56, for example, where you want to go up and think, this is going. 2 darts at double. I'm going to hit one of them.
And even when you do miss the big number like he did there, having the ability to not hesitate and just still get the job done, that shows in batting terms in cricket, they are in. They can handle things on the fly. Now, Yozza's hit the 9 off that one, but he can't take out the rest of it. Ian White, however, can take the lead now.
49. Here you require 120.
Nice shot for White. Nice guide for White. Might be a nice night for White. He finds the 120. The clinical finishing continues. That's a breaker throw, and Ian White now is in control of this quarter-final.
How often do you see Ian White show a little bit of gumption in the middle of a game? That was a big shot. He knows it.
To be fair, we have seen it a few times this year on the Euro Tour, but usually when the crowd have been against him because of who he's playing.
He usually saves it for the end of the game as well.
Yeah, this is just that he's caught up in the moment, caught up in the match, in the heat of battle.
Literally.
135.
Game ain't over yet. We know that Yozza's got fighting qualities. For me, if I'm being honest, I think he's a better front runner. But I know that he can claw these things back. And he's going to have to find a bit more of that special form to peg
60.
back Diamond right now.
Yeah,
That is the perfect first dart.
we will know at the end of this tournament the seedings for the world match play. Ian White currently world number 10 and would therefore have that seeding. He could flip with Simon Whitlock if Whitlock wins the title here. But that was perfect from White, who is finding his best stuff at the back end of the match.
Well, the last remaining spot in the world match play could be settled in the next 5 to 10 minutes, because James Wilson
100.
is in right now, and he needs Yozza to slip up at any stage really today.
Yeah, Wilson wants a White win.
$81. Jamie Ricard 126.
Professionals love this shot. Double 6.
114.
And every right-hander in the world loves double 6. And they do not expect to miss it, ever. And that was quite a big miss for Yozza. And he is going to pay the price, you would feel.
Well, White having just taken out 120. Will fancy this 80. On tops.
40.
Yes, Ian, too high. What's happened?
Don't expect Yozza to miss again. That is a sighter, to be very kind. That can be a guide. And that is a leg winner.
Game shot on the A flag. Jamie
Doesn't matter if you get it first, second or third.
Hughes.
As long as you get
Game
there.
on.
And he has. And all of a sudden, Yoza's back in this one. I was just going to say, Ian White on that 80. The shot of the 60 was about a centimetre high of the middle of the 60. And on purpose, he's thrown hard at the first dart because he wants to leave clearance above it so he can stay where he is and go for tops. It was the right thing to do. It was just come out the hand. It was a bit of a flyer.
Not just as Hughes back in the match, but he's in control of it, isn't he? He's got the darts in 2 of the last 3. Wilson's just dropped his biscuit in his tea.
$135.
He's dropped his oat cake.
We said it right at the start of the weekend. There is always somebody who comes out of the shadows and emerges as a real contender. Just to go back to what we're saying about the seedings, for Ian White, just to give you an idea of potential second round matches, it would mean the difference between a meeting in round 2 with Peter Wright or Gerwyn Price.
Potato, potato. There are no easy games at Blackpool.
135.
This is actually a really good warm-up, no pun intended, for Blackpool, because if you can succeed here, you can succeed anywhere. And I am not paraphrasing Frank Sinatra in New York, New York.
97.
Time on his side. He'll be happy enough just to set up the
57.
shots.
If you'd have said to Yoza before this game started that he'd be 4-4, sitting on tops, with 3 darts in hand, he would have had your arm off.
$100. Jamie require 40.
Well, it's the leg he's interested in here.
Game shot.
And he's won it on tops, and now he needs one more to keep his dream alive of a debut at the match play, but also the dream of winning a big stage title.
Ian White is not going to make it easy for him. What I'm going to say, Murph, is the amount of times that Yoza's hit tops this weekend is quite incredible. But the amount of times he's hit it on the underside of the top wire. It's almost like he's picked out a certain point of that double top and he's hitting it every time. Well, most times anyway.
60.
These guys do not deliver bad games. When these two play each other, it's like those two people in that movie Hancock. It's just fireworks.
You can see they're identical
60.
first 9 averages, almost identical averages. It just has become that. Just a shade under the 100 mark. They've produced much better than that in the past, but this is a thrilling
97.
encounter. And it looks very, very likely to go down to the wire once again.
It's a very apt phrase for a darts match, down to the wire. Oh, great shot from Jamie Hughes. That young man is engrossed. Wonder who he wants to win.
Well, the thing is as well, there haven't been many mistakes at the end of legs from either player. Is this the end of this leg? Bull. Ian White hits the ball. What a way to force a last leg decider. What a shot, what a moment, what a match.
If this match was chocolate, it'd be Quality Street. It's one of those stick your feet up, sip on the tea very slowly and don't blink games.
59.
There you see Hughes has had more opportunities to hit doubles. White's finishing has been fabulous throughout this quarter-final. But
81.
Yoza does have the darts in this decider.
It's good enough right now, isn't it? 140 and an 81. It's a good enough lead. It's forcing White to max up.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
123.
Good response.
I
from
think
Ian
he wants
White.
Ian White to win that, young lad.
Still just in Hughes' rear view mirror.
100.
Palms him off with a ton. Just notice next time he throws, the purse of the lips from Yoza. The controlled aggression. Ian White might go downstairs now to take the 9 off. Brilliant.
137.
You can't watch. We can't.
Well, 2 points in it, but Jamie Hughes, with that throw advantage, is going to be at the finish first.
140.
He's on a double.
As 140s go, that was a gold medal 140.
Well, the
But
164 kept White in it, but it's a simple
60.
double top that could see Hughes move through to the
40.
semi-final.
Yoza to keep it alive, the dream of winning. He's in the semis, not for the first time. And again, we have a classic from these two individuals. It won't be the last, but Yoza still alive in the race for Blackpool, still alive in the Czech Darts Open. Don't take your eyes off him. He will play either Whitlock or King later this evening, and that match is coming up next.